We want quality. We don't want a contractor brought in. We want quality. The Bethel Park bus drivers and aides will provide quality. We want quality.
Hi, my name is Sarah Chikas. I'm at 191 Stonewood Drive, and forgive me, I have a special needs child too. My daughter's name is Hannah. She's 7. She's profoundly deaf, and she goes to the DePaul School for Hearing and Speech. And Odessa, I don't know if you're still here, but I know I've spoken with you on the phone about probably a year and a half ago, and Odessa was extremely instrumental in making my family feel comfortable that Bethel Park was the place that we could rely on that would help us get Hannah to DePaul. We moved here to Bethel Park for the sole reason for Hannah to go to DePaul. So our situation is a little bit different because Hannah doesn't ride 2 minutes to Washington Elementary, which would be our home school. She's on the bus for 3 hours a day. That's a long time for a 7-year-old. To reiterate what you said, her bus driver and her aide are instrumental. Al is in the back. Al has a secret handshake with Hannah that he does every day. They do math problems. He engages her language. Hannah is 4 years behind in her language because of her hearing loss. She talks for 3 hours on the bus every day. They talk about anything and everything. Versus if she is on an outsourced bus where someone who doesn't care about her, she's going to spend those 3 hours staring out the window at the clouds, doing nothing. It is so important for these kids, not only these kids of parents of us with special needs, but all of our kids to be safe. I'm new to this town, and I've been welcomed by so many of you, but Indianapolis, Syracuse, Cincinnati, Penn Hills all have complaints about this company that you're proposing to possibly take over these wonderful people that bus our kids. I just don't see how it's fair to do this to the people that live in our community. We can't turn our backs on these people here. They've proven to be reliable, caring, and dedicated to safety, whereas First Student has already a tainted record. Cutting corners and handing our children over to a company that has proven to be less than trustworthy in so many different aspects with so many other school districts is nothing short than irresponsible. Thank you.
Good evening. My husband Michael just spoke. Can you hear me? I'm Anna Marie Scott. I live at 5039 Brightwood Road. I am a parent of a special needs child. Also, I'm an employee of this district, a paraprofessional in the high school. Vicki Floda would know this, that the Extra Mile Awards, the first year that they were out, one of the bus drivers, she won that Extra Mile Award. The extra mile is what these bus drivers and aides do. That's what you call quality. They're not asking anyone to do that. They're doing it because they're all heart. Together, everyone achieves more. That is what they are. They are quality. Several of your drivers and aides since the first award has won the Extra Mile Award. I wish they were reinstated, although, you know, the fun and games and all that jazz people didn't appreciate. But it is good to see who should be recognized. In 2009, my husband and I, we had an upsetting call from Dr. Knight. Our son was, unfortunately, being abused on the bus. Doesn't work all the time. It was not by the driver, but there was a driver that stepped forward and let us know this. It was going on for some time. That is going the extra mile. She did not have to do that. We have been in this district for 22 years. The reason why we moved here is because of quality. Do not let the quality go down. Please. The other reason I am speaking is in behalf of the phys ed department. They do an excellent job. Yes, I do work with them, but I mean, these women and men, they go the extra mile every day. There are special needs children.
Mrs. Scott, if you could wrap up, please.
Autism, whether it is physical or mental disabilities, let me tell you, they keep these kids on track. Please do not eliminate anyone. It is important to keep quality. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Helen Hardinger, 5664 Maryland Drive. My comments are also regarding the issue of considering outsourcing our school bus transportation. I'm a 40-year taxpayer. I'm also a school bus driver, and to lighten the moment, I've been here so long I've probably paid for the school bus that I drive now. I also have another interest. My children rode Bethel Park school buses. My grandchildren now ride them, and a lot of our school bus drivers, their children and grandchildren ride them too. We all have a vested interest in this issue. I have heard you over and over again saying the numbers look good, this is all about the money. It's not. It really is not. When you talk about spending taxpayer funds on budget items, you're actually talking about taking a financial risk. And unfortunately, this risk comes with a twist. Because if you make this decision to outsource, you may not be able to reverse it. Now, maybe one or two of you have been on the board long enough to remember when you outsourced the janitorial service in the 1990s. It didn't work. As a school board does, you turned around and you changed it. You brought it back in-house. How are you going to do that when you sell off your assets? If it's all about the money and you need money now, what are you going to do later when you need to buy a new school bus fleet because this doesn't work out? I don't see a turning point. I don't see how you can reverse it if it doesn't work. The other thing that I think would be a very unpleasant and unexpected return on your investment is 65% of your bus drivers and aides live in Bethel Park. You would be tearing and destroying the very fabric of your community. I think you need to give that some serious consideration.
Thank
Hello, Zach Enoch, 600 Glenrock Drive, and I'm going to switch things up a little bit. I have a prepared speech. Pride. Pride is a cornerstone attribute in the hearts of students and staff members alike at Bethel. Clubs revolve around group unity, and residents ritually sport Bethel colors, and sports teams drill the prospect of pride in their athletes' heads. And for what? To see the district cut credits, gash expectations, kill district appeal, and passively handle budget concerns through threatening student academics. After building a multi-million-dollar school, the board feels it is most frugal to cut gym classes for juniors and seniors while the gymnasiums gather dust and abandoned faculty members scramble for jobs. In a more educational context, our board also agrees that a student's transcript would look the most distinguished with a drop in core credits and 4 senior year study halls. And regardless of what the board feels is its motivation behind cutting credits and what they believe the students' anticipated choices will be with scheduling, they don't pick the classes. They won't spontaneously spawn far-reaching intellectuals because of a credit cut. They will ostracize a variety of electives and fire faculty members to relieve the budget problem, including minimizing the only physically oriented class in the unhealthiest country in the world. But what the board will do is waste resources and fluster taxpayers. At this meeting today, I am feeling a variety of emotions on this subject, and pride is not one of them.
evening. My name is Darlene Grattan. I live at 5579 Glen Hill Drive. I had 4 children graduate from Bethel Park High School, 3 with full scholarships. I thank every single teacher every single day that my kids had the great education that they had. I also drove my own children to school. I've been employed by the Bethel Park School District now for going on 15 years. I was told today by my union representative that I am no longer allowed to speak to the students when they get on and off the bus. I am appalled. I say good morning to every single student. I say good evening to every single student. I might be the first person they see in the morning because their mom or dad are working. I'm the last person maybe they see before they get off the bus, and I make sure that I say have a great evening. They call me Miss Darlene, and I am there for them no matter what. I know when mom and dad are home or when they are divorced. I know so much about these families. You bring in someone else to drive that bus. They don't know these children personally. They don't know if mom and dad are home. They have no clue. I ask you not to subcontract out. If it's all about the money, money doesn't buy everything. It doesn't buy love. It doesn't buy support. It buys us, and we are quality. You get what you pay for. Thank you.
My name is Brian Deal, 2401 Longcrest Avenue. I'm 82 in the United States Army. Also, I'm in the reserves. I'm also a senior at Bethel Park High School. I enlisted my junior year of high school. And kind of the catch with that is they get your rear end between your junior and senior year that summer. I was active duty. While serving active duty, protecting all of you people, I fractured my femur. I almost bled to death from internal bleeding, but I managed to survive. I spent 3 weeks in a hospital bed, not able to walk. When I came back to school, I couldn't even make it up a flight of stairs. Just 3 weeks ago, I ran a mile for a physical test for ROTC, and I ran it in 5:26. Remember a couple months ago, I couldn't even walk up a flight of stairs. And it wouldn't have been possible without the gym teachers you have here. It wouldn't. I probably wouldn't be standing here today. I'm almost at 100% right now because of the phys ed program you have. And just to think, this would have passed a couple years ago, I'd have been medically discharged by now. And also, how much money did we spend on that new facility down there? I'm pretty sure every taxpayer in Bethel Park would flip a desk if they knew all of that money was going to be wasted. It's disgraceful. Where futures begin, it's where obesity begins.
My name's Larry Shaw, 5836 Monongahela Avenue, Bethel Park. My name's Larry Shaw. I've been a resident of Bethel Park since moving here from England in March 2007. I started my own soccer coaching business where I've coached most of the soccer players at Bethel Park. I have a contract with BPSA, so I know most of the kids that I coach, their families and the grandparents. I also coach the high school girls soccer program here at Bethel Park. I also have another business which I started last year. So I love Bethel Park. It's a lovely place. I love all the people here. I wouldn't even want to think about moving anywhere else. Going back to the other bits, having been a transport manager in England, when I came here I was impressed by the way Bethel Park School District bus service was run. Not only as a coach being taken by now my colleagues to the soccer games, but as a local resident, which is one of the reasons why I took my CDL test and have been a bus driver for the last year. The buses are always on time and the whole contract runs like clockwork. The students from kindergarten to seniors all seem to have good things to say about the ride to school and back. Being a local soccer coach, I know a lot of the kids and they are very unhappy about the risk of losing their bus drivers, not only the kids but the parents. I'm not here to have a go at other bus companies, just to say a few words about the professionalism of your current bus drivers and the staff that run the company. I myself as a resident would be unhappy if we let our contract be outsourced. Why change something that ain't broken? Not only would we lose our drivers and staff, but the money we earn would now be taken out of Bethel Park. please reconsider the proposed outsourcing of the bus driver's contract. Yes, you would save money in the short term, but what will happen in 3 or 4 years' time? Thank you for your time to listen to my thoughts. Larry Shaw, local business owner and resident of Bethel Park.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. John Mascaro, 5486 Beverly Court, Bethel Park High School senior. And I believe that the proposed proposed cuts to the credits required to graduate is counterintuitive. I've always been taught that knowledge is power, and that one's education is one of the defining features of their life. A good education can make all the difference. And I believe that Bethel Park and its teachers is giving me that great education, and it's making a difference. Now more than ever, we need more knowledge, more education, not less, to prepare us for the next step, whether that be college, trade school, or even the workforce. Getting to that next step is even harder than ever. The competition from even our neighbors, St. Clair, Lebo, along with like the entire world, it's even tougher to get that one spot in college. I know that I benefited from the current credit requirement. I've challenged myself every year, worked hard to get that. I'm now going to be attending one of the top engineering schools in the nation. I realize that some kids, you believe, will still push themselves each and every year, but that proposed cut is saying that you have to work around 15% less hard as you used to. I know that some kids will still work as hard, but others won't. They'll just do the bare minimum to float by, and that cut is going to hurt those kids the most. This is praising mediocrity for those kids, just like instead of challenging themselves to do more. This can lead to them to not getting accepted to their school, or any school for that matter. I know that you think the proposed cut will allow students to participate in like job shadowing programs, which I don't think it will. The chances of a high school senior without his diploma finding a shadowing opportunity in a career he wants to work for in this economy while competing against all the college students who are compete with all the college students in the same field while attending a prestigious university is rather tough, I believe. And I thought we already had like a job program where we could leave school early to work. So I don't know what the point of that be. That's all I have to say.
My name is Sandra Ackerman. I live at 5646 Wilson Drive, and I just wanted to say that I am a parent of children who do not have special needs, and I am not a bus driver. I don't know any bus drivers in family or anything like that other than the bus drivers my children have, but I still have really serious concerns about outsourcing the bus driving for our kids, for their safety. Bethel Park does have a very good bus driving system, and I would really hate to see that change, and I would be very worried to send my children on the bus with an outsourced service. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kristen Ursenbach, and not only am I a parent, I'm a driver. Excuse me. I live at 248 Oakland Road. It's the worst road in Bethel Park, I think. But I think that a lot of these drivers have been here 30 years. They've seen kindergarten kids go to college and come back and have children and live here. They come back, and they live in the community. That is why I moved here. My husband said, "Where do you want to go?" I said, "Bethel Park. They have their own buses." I've been driving a bus for 21 years. I would like to continue to do so in Bethel Park. Thank you.
Hi, Candace Lahickey, 5525 Annetta Drive. I didn't plan on speaking tonight, but my daughter scribbling back there just wrote, "I love the Bethel Park School District bus drivers. Don't let first student take over. Money is not more important than children. If any one of you up there has children or grandchildren or nieces and nephews or cousins, how could you sit there and even think about putting a number on a child's head? These children, these students that ride our buses are priceless. Thank you.
Adam Larson, 636 Glen Rock Drive. I am currently a junior at Bethel Park High School. I'm here today to express my feelings and how I am distraught at the decision to modify physical education to being worth 0.5 of a credit. Phys ed should be mandatory for all students up until their senior year for numerous reasons. First, by cutting phys ed junior and senior year, you're sending the wrong message to students, as about 27% of high school students at Bethel are obese. This decision is extremely countercultural as well as counterproductive. Various medical studies show gym improves self-esteem, which is critical in today's society. So why is Bethel decreasing the standard? We just spent over $25 million on state-of-the-art athletic facilities, and now we're going to cut gym back. We need to utilize these facilities to the best of our abilities so taxpayers can get the most out of their money. Does the school board really believe that students will sign up for gym if it's an elective? I think not. I believe that the school board has not considered the beneficial impact of mandatory PE for all the students of Bethel Park. The school board needs to reconsider this decision.
My name's Angelina Barafio. I live at 5531 Saddlebrook Drive. I'm a senior this year at Bethel Park High School, and Bethel has shaped me into the person that I am today. Next fall, I'll be attending Duquesne University to play soccer and study special education. Without all of my classes throughout my 4 years at Bethel, I would not be where I am today. For some colleges, the more credits that you take in high school can be the decision maker on whether or not you get into that school. And although I am a student athlete, this isn't just about us. For some of the students at the high school, gym's the only exercise that they get a week. And if we lower the credits needed at Bethel, we lower our expectations for the students. Thanks.
Hello, I'm Mike Brucker, and I live on 112 Barmer Drive. I'm a senior, and I've played football for 4 years at Bethel Park High School, and I will be attending St. Francis University in the fall. I'm telling you this because my teachers and coaches have been a major influence in my final college decision. College is extremely expensive, and in these tough economic times, students need as much financial help as possible. Throughout my 4 years at Bethel Park High School, I've had many extraordinary teachers and coaches that have shaped me to the person I am today. Whether it is giving me one-on-one help with chemical equations, staying after school to help with logarithmic problems, or something as simple as writing an outstanding letter of recommendation for a college application, my instructors are always available. One specific class that will have a huge impact on my success at St. Francis is anatomy and physiology. Since this is an elective, I feel anatomy and physiology will be the most helpful class I've taken in high school, and it will prepare me in my pursuit of a physical therapy degree. This course, along with all the other electives Bethel Park offers, can give Bethel Park students an edge when attending college. Courses like anatomy and physiology distinguish Bethel Park from ordinary high schools. With the support and guidance of Bethel Park's teachers, I will be able to attend college at a reduced cost. Not only did my teachers help in lowering my college costs, my football coaches also contributed greatly. Throughout my 3 years of varsity football, the Bethel Park coaching staff has pushed me to be the best player I can be. They were by my side whether it was 8 a.m. summer track workouts, 3-day practices at camp in the scorching hot sun, or daily film study. I feel they enabled me to succeed. The coaching staff spent long hours in season and off season trying to make the entire team the best it could be. Coaches spend more time with players than with their own children. Their dedication is astounding. In my opinion, Coach Matheny, Coach Milliken, Coach Alalo, and Coach Asilla are the best coaches in the WPIL. Together they have taught me numerous things that have made me a better player and especially a better person. I cannot thank these coaches enough. Because of their dedication, I will be playing football at the next level. Due to the help of my teachers and coaches, I will be receiving academic and athletic aid in excess of $88,000 from St. Francis University. Without the help of Bethel Park's outstanding teachers and coaches, I would not be where I am today. With the skyrocketing cost of college tuition, these wonderful people have prepared me for the road that lies ahead and have made attending college affordable for me. I have a younger brother who will be freshman next year. If the number of credits required for graduation is lowered and electives are eliminated, I fear he will not have the same opportunities that I had. The school board needs to reconsider this proposal for the good of all future Bethel Park High School students. Thank you for your attention.
Congratulations.
Hi, I'm Beth Tomshay from 6000 Dublin Road and the current president of the Transportation Union. And as you guys made a clarification, I would also like to make a clarification. The board says that they have made several proposals to the Transportation Union. We have one that I'm aware of, and that was the last one, without pay increases, and that's what's on my mind. I just wanted to clarify that to the community. Thank you.
My name is Chad Thomas. I live at 136 Oakwood Court. I wanted to speak a little bit about the change in the credit requirements for physical education. And just to clarify, this change from a quarter credit to a half credit, that's primarily driven by budget constraints, as I'm seeing it, as you described it. It seemed like that's what was the main driver for this, whereby the students will no longer have to take physical education unless they do it as an elective in their 11th and 12th junior, senior years. As a former physical education teacher, it always amazes me that when these budget cuts are made, things like art and music and physical education are the first things on the cutting block. In my opinion, we have an obligation as parents and educators to use these formative years, as we have historically, to teach our children how to stay fit and healthy. You could argue that of all the required classes, health and physical education is the least expendable. Regardless of what career path any of us have taken, without a solid foundation of good health, we're more likely to become yet another burden on our family, or a statistic, or a burden on our health system. Obesity, diabetes, heart disease. If anyone here thinks that Bethel Park has somehow magically escaped becoming part of these national statistics, you're fooling yourself. Reducing or eliminating physical education will only result in these statistics becoming worse, and I think we all know that. What percentage of our kids without physical education in our schools do you think would go out on their own and seek out the knowledge of how to stay healthy? It doesn't just occur naturally. A few perhaps, but less than you think, I would bet. The concept of physical education in our schools is part of the national healthcare solution. Not the only one, but one that you, the board, have the power to influence. I suggest that the benefits of a mandatory fitness-based physical education program and the future health and well-being of our students at Bethel Park should be considered a priority. And I would respectfully ask that the board reconsider and consider other options in terms of meeting your budget challenges. Thank you.
Lindy Fabianic, 1017 Brookfield Drive. You responded last meeting in regards to how other districts are dealing with today's economic crisis. You mentioned districts renegotiating in addition to Northgate furloughing 23 teachers. How disheartening I found it when I learned a bit about Northgate, a community with a median home value of $80,000 to $90,000, a school district ranked 63rd out of 105 schools in Western Pennsylvania, a graduation rate of 86%, and a budget of $19.3 million. Is this our comparison now? Can a community with a median home value of $142,000, a school district that boasts a number 12 ranking out of 105, a 98% graduation rate, and a budget of over $77 million even begin to say, well, Northgate had to furlough teachers? When calculated after the Northgate furlough, teacher-to-student ratios average 13 students to a teacher. This is a similar ratio to where Bethel Park is currently. Who are number 1 and 2? Upper St. Clair, and Mount Lebanon. Isn't this where we should be setting our sights, trying to be number 1 instead of 63? Mount Lebanon home values average $188,000, and their budget is $84 million. This seems to me a more suitable comparison. Speaking of Upper St. Clair, I did read about the renegotiation with their teachers last May. The teachers they furloughed, it was through retirement and attrition. Their scaled back salaries at the 09-10 rate for step 16 was $93,400. That's still more than Bethel's 09-10 rate for their 17th step. And this agreement came with a concession from the district to not furlough any positions, and after a prior rejection last April to a pay freeze. The way I see it, the Bethel Park teachers have already been working under a pay freeze for the past 3 years, and the amount of money spent by the district fighting the teachers, I can imagine, is a hefty sum. I'm continually frustrated when I read about other districts who seemingly can work together to solve their problems. We need to settle this contract. It is both embarrassing and damaging to the district.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Thomas Majernik, 5460 Glen Hill Drive. Hate to turn the subject to something different here, but I find this very important. Mrs. Buckley, I'd like to thank you for your prompt response to my email 2 weeks ago. Your response was appreciated. I am, however, concerned that shortly after I sent the email to you, that I was informed that the superintendent of Bethel Park School District, Mrs. Rose, had contacted my employer inquiring about my work schedule. My question is to the board and to the solicitor. Is it district policy that the senior administrator investigate residents of this community? If not, may I ask why she contacted my employer? Does she regularly explore the backgrounds of taxpayers of this community, like myself, and contact their employers regarding personal matters? These actions concern me greatly, and I welcome your response. Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak? Anyone else? Then I'm going to move. Yes.
My name is Ian Brooker. I live at 5004 Highland Avenue. My 3 children, Bill, April, and Brenna, graduated from Bethel Park High School. The elective coursework they took at Bethel Park High School helped them find their hidden talents and grow creatively and intellectually. Elective classes helped my children reach for the stars. For my son Bill, electives opened his world. Mrs. Palumbo and Mr. Wallish helped my son find his niche as an artist. Now he publishes cartoons and sculpts as a hobby. He was just honored by being inducted into your Alumni Hall of Fame. For my daughter April, electives gave her a career path. Because of Mr. Youngs and Mr. Kazawa, April has published a book, written a musical, appeared on television, and she is featured in this week's In Bethel Park magazine. For my daughter Brenna, electives put her in a place where she could be of great service. Because of Miss Falsetti, Brenna was able to use her Spanish as an inner city emergency room doctor to help so many. Her picture is right there on the USA Today first academic team. In these difficult times, we need to evaluate and select the most important tools to keep in place for our children's future. As I look back to my children's education, I am certain that Bethel Park has the right formula. I believe that the courses my children took helped them to learn. The electives they took created direction and fostered life skills. And most important, the teachers they had turned learning into talent and practical career applications. Here at Bethel Park, we are fortunate to have a concerned and loving school board that has worked hard to build a safe and happy school and has staffed our school with wonderful teachers that not only love to teach, but transform lives. Please keep up the good work.
Does anyone else wish to speak this evening?
Hi, my name is Ann DeBortley. I live on Ashland Drive in Bethel Park. I did not intend to speak tonight. All of you have done a good job at that. But I just have to say that particularly those people who spoke about the bus drivers and the bus drivers themselves did my heart good, because they spoke about how much they love this community, about how much they love the students, and I guess I'm frustrated because I know your position. I know that there's no money here. It's no money in the whole state. But I would just like to ask the people who are negotiating on both sides to try to put that love and that devotion to our community to a settlement and all these things that are festering here. So I know your position, I know their position. It's obviously going to take compromise, but if we all love this community as much as we think we do, then I just encourage everybody to use that love and support for Bethel Park to try to resolve these conflicts. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, yes?
A lot of inspiring words tonight. And I'm going to talk about the specials. But I think some of our younger folks have it right here. The specials are all-inclusive, the arts, the music, and also the athletics. And we are blessed to have you people work so hard to try to solve all these problems. But after 3 years, I feel, and it continues on with the bus drivers, we need to say enough is enough. I have tremendous people that I work with that work with these teams, the band, the plays, and we all focus on teamwork. We can't do anything with 100 band kids playing at 6 o'clock in the morning on TV if they're all doing other things. We have tremendous people to work with our kids. We have tremendous facilities that you've given us. Good Lord, can't we work together and solve this problem of the bus drivers and the teachers? Take my salary for the last 3 years. You can have any raise I would have gotten. My friends and the people I work with feel that way. I don't wear a blue shirt, the one that says AFT, and I doubt if I'm getting a lot of Christmas cards this year from the board. As Dick will tell you, I've had my troubles in the past with our own people. But I know this. Look against the wall. Look at the young children that came up here. Look at the baby inside. I hope that my kids come back here and live in this community and thrive in a great place. I know it's a tough time. Don't let your best assets get away from you. They're your kids. They're your teachers. And right now, they're your bus drivers. They're sitting right in front of you. Take care of the people that love this place. And I got a boss that always says, do the right thing by the kids. Do the right thing by your community. And you'll solve a lot of problems. Thank you.
just a second. This gentleman was coming up here. You're fine? Okay, thank you.
My name is Michael Jackson. I live in 5994 Kings School Road. I pay a lot of taxes to this school district, an awful lot of taxes. I also am an employee of this school district. We complain constantly about money, money, money. Money isn't everything. We have a school that we're sitting on Keystone Road that's been for sale, and all we're doing is hiding maintenance trucks behind it all the time and maintaining it. It's useless. Why don't we get rid of it if we need so much money? I know it's filled with asbestos, and I know that because all these buildings do. Get rid of the asbestos and see what we can do to get rid of it. Also, in the past 2-3 years, we got teachers that do not have a contract. We got bus drivers who do not have a contract. We had maintenance people that negotiated a contract. We have no contracts. I would like to know, and I'm sure a lot of these other people would like to know, what we spent to the solicitor firm just in negotiating in these past 3 years. That's a lot of money that could have went into these contracts. I think the solicitor firm is dragging their feet just to make more money for themselves, or we would have contracts for the teachers or bus drivers or whoever. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sean Devine, 2524 North Lightwood Avenue. I just recently moved here this year, knowing that my taxes were going up. Okay, so I just loved Bethel Park and what they were doing. When you look around at what other school districts are doing, don't look backwards, always look forwards. Dropping credits. We're the adults, we set the standards for our children. You know, keep the credits high, keep the standard high. They will meet that standard. But if you let them to their own means, without adult leadership, they will just make it over the bar. We don't want that. We want our kids, when they leave here with the best we can possibly give them, okay? And bus drivers, awesome. My son does his homework on the bus. You telling me that in outsourcing that my son is going to be able to do homework on the bus? He comes home and his math homework's done, and it's right. I checked it. And you know, if we're going to change for the better. Don't go backwards. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I also, John Mascaro, 5486 Beverly Court. I was also somebody who wasn't going to say anything also, but that beautiful young mom, Coach, I think she did better than you, I must tell you. But it's really just, she said it just so perfectly. I've been negotiating labor contracts for about 14 years and tens of thousands of carpenters, laborers, cement finishers, operating engineers. And what between management, which I represent, and the tradesmen themselves, they said, it doesn't work. There's no jobs without the employer getting work and vice versa. So you have to be a team. There's been several conversations about team. And without each other, there's nothing to work for. There's nothing there. So you have to get it done. The longest negotiation we ever took was 60 days. 60 days over 14 years. Negotiated $10,000 agreement, a collective bargaining agreement with a union. Carpenters, I can't remember which trade it was. 60 days is the longest. We have to get this done. From the management's perspective, I would never, ever, ever let that happen. I was upset with 60 days. Please get it done. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening. Mrs. Buckley, I'll keep it down because I understand I hurt your ears the last time I spoke. You're welcome. My name is Master Sergeant John DeLallo. I live at 1565 Lucille Drive. I was a contract negotiator in the United States Air Force for 20 years. I was a business executive and a contract negotiator in aerospace, defense, and commercial aviation. It's my posit that negotiations are simple. Unless, of course, there's an ulterior motive, and I have noted in my career that when the attorneys get involved, the ulterior motive is typically billable hours. Once we run the attorneys out, I've never had much more than a week or so of negotiation, and I've negotiated everything from commissary products for resale to the GIs and their wives, to classified programs for the Titan II intercontinental ballistic missile nuclear weapons delivery system. I've done a lot of protecting, and I'm feeling very, very protective right now. I'm feeling very protective of my son and his colleagues and the taxpayers and me. And to be perfectly honest with you, again, my posit is negotiations are easy. There's nothing to them unless, of course, there's an ulterior motive. I'll leave you with that happy thought, and the taxpayers as well. And I would hope at the next meeting, perhaps you may, and I'll file a Freedom of Information Act if I have to, but perhaps of your own volition, you'll bring forth the Learned Counsel's billable hours total figure over the last 3 years during these negotiations. Indeed, I demand it. Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak? Then I'm going to move into board comments and Mr. Amidits.
Yes. First of all, I'm gonna take a little exception about the accusations against the solicitor. I would be the first person that would ask our solicitor to stop negotiating and would be looking forward to replacing the solicitor if I believed in any part that they were responsible for the delay and delaying intentionally. I don't see it happening, and I wouldn't put up with it if I did. I won't say any more with that. I don't think that's a problem. There have been problems in the district long before we had this negotiator with negotiations. That is not it. There may be other things going on, but I just don't believe that's it. And up until that point, I was going to say I appreciate everybody who spoke so civilly and so eloquently. I believe their passion. I believe their stories. I especially appreciate the students who come to spoke. I know I wouldn't have had the courage nor the tact to get up and speak as eloquently as they did during it, and I appreciate it. And lastly, I will say that what I will do and I promise to do is listen to all the comments and take then anything seriously and think hard about everything I've heard, as I promised I will do, and before I make any of my final decisions. And that's all I have to say for this evening.
Thank you. Dr. Campbell.
I too want to warmly welcome everybody who came here tonight. This is wonderful to see this room this packed, and it's how it should be, because we're, again, I've mentioned this before, we're a representative republic, and each of you by coming tonight take a lot of time out of your own personal lives to go ahead and let your thoughts be known. That's important. That's palpably important. Evelyn Campbell was the brightest person I've ever met in my life. That was my mother, and yes, she was a phys ed teacher in South Park. And she gave me a quote that kind of stuck with me a lot through my life. And it was this: small minds discuss people, average minds discuss events, and great minds discuss ideas. Well, there's no paucity of ideas in Bethel Park. It's true, a lot of what drives our decisions as board members is quality for our students, is maintaining the safety of our children. That's foremost. That's why I'm on the board. That's why I ran for the board. Most of us are so stinking busy in our lives, it's not even funny, but we want to go ahead and make a meaningful contribution to our borough. We love Bethel Park. Every single one of us. You love Bethel Park by coming here today, and that's so important. But we need to be the great idea people. We need to talk about the ideas. We need help. We published on our website the first iteration of our budget. All right, yeah, you heard it's about $77 million. That's a lot of money. A lot of money. Where does that come from? It comes from every single one of us. We're taxpayers. We pay for that. I want the best I can get out of that money for my students, for the quality of education. And I'm the first to acknowledge that. I know what sometimes does not make sense financially, makes sense financially, does not necessarily make sense practically, especially when you're talking about quality, when you're talking about the issues we've heard today. That's so mission critical, so important. But the bottom line is, if we don't go ahead and do something with our budget, we're about $1.8 million in the hole right now, and that's assuming the 0.52 mil raise that we're allowed by law to go ahead and do. I don't want to raise taxes on anybody if I don't have to. I really, truly don't. We need your help. Give us some suggestions. Email us. We'll go to the website. Just go ahead and fire off some ideas. I listened to a lot of folks come in, very passionate, great thoughts, great sentiment. But I heard one person make a suggestion about, what about that school in Bethel Park, Logan School? I went to Logan School, all right? Why don't we get ahead and rid of that? That's an idea for revenue. Give us your ideas for revenue. That's going to make the issue so much easier. You can't put a price tag on a child. I don't put a price tag on a child. All 6 of my kids went through Bethel Park. But I want to do what's right. I want to do what's meaningful, for everybody across the board. So please, continue this. Come to more meetings. Let us know your thoughts, your feelings. And more importantly, too, give us your ideas because we really need them. There's no dearth of ideas in Bethel Park and how we can help resolve a lot of these issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Rule.
I'm glad to see that so many of you have come out tonight. I wish we could see this number all the time. That maybe would help us move along here and be able to resolve some issues. There isn't anything that you haven't said out there that I didn't say as a parent and now as a grandparent. I mean, I have a little one getting on the bus and I worry about her and all those things that you've been saying. But I also sit on the other side now and I'm thinking like, where are we going to get money? So if someone can come up and start giving us some ideas. Nobody wants to see anything cut because we have a lot of good things going on in Bethel Park here. But what we need is some people to come forward and say, okay, I'm willing to cut this or cut that, because no matter what we mention, there's always a group that says, oh no, you can cut, but don't cut in my backyard. Don't cut in my course of study. So we need your help to come up with what can we get to offset these expenses. And these are only expenses that we know. We don't even know what's coming down the road with the new governor's budget and other things of, the liquor stores and all that. I mean, this is all predicated on everything happening, but it isn't. So we'd like to have your input. And I don't really want to see a lot of changes. I've had 3 kids go through the school system. And like I said, my grandchildren are coming through. So I'd like to keep that quality. But like everything, I'd like to be driving a quality car too, but guess what? I'm driving an older car now because I can't afford a quality brand new car. I mean, it's just the way it is. But anyway, if you want to meet with us, come up with some ideas. I mean, we're willing to listen. That's what we're interested in. So I appreciate you coming, and I hope you continue to come. And I would be remiss because I'm the VOTEC liaison here, and I have to take care of my VOTEC students. That please come up and get some of these flyers, because the VOTEC school, that's where the jobs are. I mean, and that's where we need to be looking at what they have to offer. They keep adding new programs. Not only that, but they also keep in mind that they offer a whole list for adults, for unemployed adults. There's also funding available. So you need to keep them in mind as another additional resource. So anyway, again, I thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mrs. Wood. Mr. Rose.
Before we get back to the finances for a second, I want to congratulate all those kids we saw up on that screen tonight for all their achievements. They've done an outstanding job, and we keep seeing more and more every meeting. Thank you for bringing that to us. Second, I want to congratulate all the schools for their Keystone Awards tonight. It's great to see all of you get a Keystone Award on the same night. Thank you for all your work, and all the staff and teachers that you have, all their work. We appreciate it. Folks, we've got a financial problem, and all these problems we talk about, these and others coming, have to help us balance a budget. We put an administrative budget together, total budget together, and passed that as a preliminary budget, and it's $1.8 million short of being in balance. That's not easy money to scrape out of a budget without affecting somebody or some program. So we're looking at everything. And everything we look at said, well, maybe we can take some of this out of here, and somebody doesn't like that. Well, we'll take it out of here. Well, somebody else doesn't like that. It's not an easy situation. As you've already heard from board members, if you have any ideas where we can find some of that, where we don't get a room full of people upset, instead they come and say, we agree, that's what we need to make some changes in Bethel Park. Because Bethel Park has to make some changes. That $1.8 million's been whittled already, because we were looking for a way out of the dilemma when we passed the budget. We're going to keep looking. We're going to find ways to get that thing in balance, and I'll guarantee you there will be people that won't like some pieces and parts of that. But it has to be done. We're not like the federal government. You'll pass it, and then what you need, you go borrow from somebody and worry about it in the future. We can't do that. We need to balance a budget or take it out of savings. And if we take it out of our savings, and we do have some, next year there's less savings to balance that budget. Until pretty soon, it's a massive cut to programs and everything else that we cherish in this community. It's not easy, but we're going to have to do it. We'll do it better with your help. Without your help, we're going to do it. And then we're going to be at odds again, because not anybody is going to like everything we do. Somebody, everybody out there, somebody's going to say, I don't like it. And the taxpayers have already told me that, because that preliminary budget is a maximum tax increase for us. We can't get more than that if we can get that much. So they're stuck with the higher tax bill right now, and we're still short. So we've got to come up with some answers. Your help is needed. Fighting us isn't going to get the solution you want. Working with us will. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Buckley.
Thank you, Mrs. Cook. First of all, I would like to thank the wrestling and soccer boosters for their donations this evening. They're helping, and some people might say that's a few $1,000s. For me personally, I go through the pages of the bills that we get every month, and if I can find $50 on every page that we don't need to spend, and someone said that's only $50, but if I find $50 on every single page, just like in your household budget, those monies add up, and that's what we are trying to do. As every one of my fellow board members have said, we're not going to make everyone happy, but we have to pay the bills. If we don't do that and we run everything into the ground, then this room will be really filled and people will be screaming at us, how did you do that? Why would you do that? We are trying. We are here for children. I'll speak personally for myself. I have 3 kids that have graduated from the school system. I'm very proud of what the teachers helped them to accomplish. But we can't do it if we don't have the money to pay for it. In your family budgets, if your children want to go out to dinner every single night of the week to some fancy restaurant, don't you reach a point where you say, sorry guys, we can't even afford a pizza tonight. We don't have the money. We're not making these things up. We're not sitting up here to make up people unhappy and accuse people of things. What we need, as everyone has said, we need your help. We are trying to do this and not make people unhappy, but that's not going to happen. So we're looking at a variety of things and trying to help, and we are kid-minded, and I mean that from the very bottom of my heart. We have children in mind, but we are also responsible to taxpayers. We have taken an oath as board members. We are responsible to every taxpayer in this district, not just the folks sitting here tonight. And we get emails and phone calls from those people saying, I'm losing my home, I can't afford my home, I can't afford any more taxes. So what do you want us to do? Don't come up and yell at us. I appreciate your comments. Believe me, I listen to every word you say, and I keep track of all of that. Come up with ideas to help us. As people have said, let's work together. We want to work together. We are trying to work together. But when there's only so much money available and things have to change, we need cooperation, and that's what we're looking for. And also, lastly, I would be remiss if I didn't thank the PTO and PTA parents. I attend those meetings with them every month, and I truly appreciate what you ladies and gentlemen have done. You are stepping up. You have saved the district thousands of dollars, and the hours that you have devoted to our children is very much appreciated. Thank you for stepping up.
Thank you. Mr. Spicuzza.
Thank you, Mrs. Cook. There are so many things on the table tonight. There's a lot of things I'd like to talk about. I'm going to try to be as brief as possible. I know that everyone would like to get home before they start work tomorrow morning. The first thing I want to echo what Mr. Rose said about the students, the teachers, the administrators of our schools, and the job they're doing. They're doing a tremendous job, and we saw that tonight with the awards that were presented and the awards that were on the screen tonight, and I think that's just a tremendous thank you to everybody involved. I appreciate that, and I know that my fellow board members also appreciate it very much. Two important, well, we have one meeting set, the curriculum committee meeting. I think that it would be great to see all of you guys back here for that meeting. I think it's really important. We're going to have some budget meetings coming up here in the near future. It's very important to be there because sometime we talk numbers, we talk figures, you know, we don't have this, we need that, you want this, we need that. Let's look at the hard numbers. Let's look at the budget. I think that's where we need your help, is you to sit down and look at the numbers that we look at, and you tell us where we can find the number that we need to be at in all the negotiations and all the budgets and bills that we have to pay. I think this came up at the curriculum committee meeting. We were talking about, you know, we're talking about job shadowing and giving kids another opportunity to look not just at college. And I think people have to understand, and I believe the statistics that I remember were that 30% of kids that go to college don't graduate. 75% of kids that go to college don't work in the field that they graduate in. We need to look at a paradigm shift here, I think, that to Mr. Mascaro's point, I mean, he's going to be looking for laborers in his construction company very, very soon, and he's not going to find them because they're not available, they're not trained, they're not out there. We need to know where the job markets are and where they're going to be. I recently attended the guidance counselor meeting with some administrators here in the district, and I think we learned an awful lot that day, and I think they learned an awful lot that day too about where we're hoping to see some changes in direction of education in the near future. As I said, I have to be brief, and that wasn't brief, and I'm done. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming.
Mr. Means.
Yes, I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight, and it was really interesting hearing all the different perspectives that people have. I think the one thing that was unfair was blaming the contract negotiation problems on the solicitor. I think they've worked well, and let's face it, we've had 6 teacher strikes in Bethel, and that's not the solicitor's problem. My first semester at WVU, I had an economics class with Professor Tabara, and he told us economics is the study of trying to balance unlimited wants with limited needs. And that's where we are in Bethel Park. The teachers want more, the transportation union wants more, students want more services, more activities, the rec league wants better facilities, and the taxpayers are saying, enough. And as a matter of fact, like it's been specified here tonight, we can only raise taxes so much. And if we raise them the maximum allowed by law, we're still looking at over $1.5 million deficit. I looked on the internet. There's 37 homes in the 15102 zip code in foreclosure. If you throw in the number of pre-foreclosures, there's 61 pre-foreclosures and foreclosures in there. We just can't keep going the way we're going. What's going on at Bethel Park with raising salaries and more and more and more every year is unsustainable. If we keep going that way, it's going to collapse. There will be cuts made. What we want to do as a board is we want to make the cuts in areas that are going to enable us to maintain the quality programs we have and enable our students to be successful. If anybody here thinks that there's not things that we could cut without hampering students' prospects for the future, they're wrong. I would also like to invite all the people who spoke up about the possible reduction in the number of credits and the phys ed changes to come to the curriculum committee. We really haven't made decisions on any of that stuff, and that's where that's going to be made. Lastly, I would like to say my granddaughter rides a school bus every day. There is no way I would do anything that would compromise her safety. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Sustich, would you like to say anything this evening?
They apologize for not being there in person. I do want to thank everyone who spoke. I am fortunate to be able to hear everything out here, and I will take all those comments into consideration as we move forward here. And I look forward to everybody helping resolve the issues we are facing.
Thank you. And I would just like to say, this is my community as well. I have lived here for 30 years. My children have gone through this school district. This board does not take any of these decisions that we make lightly. But I told you 2 years ago, I told you last year, and I'm telling you again this year, there are tough decisions that have to be made. And this elected board is who you have that have to ultimately make those decisions in the bitter end. We don't always like the decisions that we have to make. It's always fun when we have enormous amounts of money and we can just add to things. But when we have to cut back, there is always going to be someone or some groups of someones who are not going to agree with that. We will take into consideration everything that has been said. We continue to read emails. We continue to take phone calls. But in the end, there will be some very tough decisions that will be made. We all love Bethel Park, and we will make those decisions with that at heart. I need a motion to adjourn.
Move we adjourn.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Good night, everyone.